Most of you think that your emotion dominates you. You don't realize that your emotion belongs to you. So when your emotion comes, they move you around. You don't realize that you can correct how you feel. You can correct it. And it's a big thing you have to correct. You can correct. If you feel sad, you can change it. What happens is this. Something happens and you make it your identity. And when you make it your identity, what happens? You produce because it's now who you are. Some of you, the reason why you have bigger problems is that you think your problem is personal. But it's not personal. 1 Corinthians 10:13 says this way. It says, there's no temptation that is not common. The Bible does not cover a lot of personal stories. Do you know how many times Mary must have been jilted? Do you know how many times Peter tried to marry and he failed? Do you know maybe the reason why Paul never married was someone broke his heart? Some of you are single here. God has given you a promise of a wonderful husband, a wonderful wife. So the same thing for Joshua. Joshua was given promise of physical land. And it was called the promised land, yes or no? So in the Old Testament, the promised land was a physical land. In the New Testament, the promised land is the fulfillment of the promise that God made to you personally. So when you say you've stepped into the promised land in the New Testament, you've stepped into the fulfillment of the promises that God has given you. What you need to ask yourself is this. If God had given Joshua the promised land, why is he saying things like, I will not fail you, I will not forsake you? Because on your journey to the fulfillment of the promise, you will feel failed, you will feel forsaken, you will feel abandoned. Who has felt this so far? That shows you're on your path to the promised land. The reason why is that the things that should encourage you that you're on path are the things that are discouraging you because you don't know. So God told Joshua ahead of time, he says, as you head towards the promised land, you're going to feel forsaken. But remember, I will not forsake you. If I tell you this and I said, as you're going, make sure you take a torchlight. What does that mean? That means that place will be dark. So when God says, I will not forsake you, I will not fail you, I will not abandon you, that means there will be seasons you will feel as if he forsook you. There will be seasons as if you feel as if he failed you. There will be seasons like that. The seasons should be proof you're on the path. If the seasons says you're on the path, you know what happens to you? Then you become confident in the season. So you're already on the path, but you don't feel that way. Then you go to another path and not realize that you are now off track. So a lot of you have gone off track because you thought the path should be different. The path that was felt as if God abandoned you was the real path. The path that caused you heartbreak was the path. But your perspective was like, God is not here. So you drifted towards what was easy. You don't know that sometimes what is easy is destructive. The Bible says that wide is the road that leads to destruction. It said narrow is the path of life. Relationship and marital frustration is the tool Satan used to take you out of your marriage and marital blessing. If he wants to destroy you, he will make sure you feel frustrated first. What I'm saying is that frustration is a choice. Frustration is what? Is a choice. Are there things that will frustrate you? Yes. Will you feel frustrated? Yes. But to remain there is a choice. As a married person, the reason I'm challenging you is this. If you focus on your frustration, even though there is frustration and there is joy, what you will notice is what? Frustration. You don't experience life, you experience the life you focus on. In life, there's frustration. In life, there is joy. In life, there is anger. All of these things happens in life. Is your marriage 100% terrible all the time? No. All of you that are having tough time in your relationship, is your relationship 100% bad all the time? No. But the difference is that maybe your relationship is 70% good and 30% what? Frustrating. The challenge is that you will focus all your energy on the 30% frustration. And whatever you focus on multiplies. All those relationships that showed you fire, were there no times that also showed you love? There were times the person also showed you love. But the difference is this. Over time, you are focused on what? The frustration. And the more you focus on the frustration, that's what you see, that's what you experience. Then two, the more you become frustrated, you will frustrate the other person. The reason why is that they sense some frustration and frustrate the marriage. And there's some married women frustrating their marriage. And there's some single people frustrating everybody. The primary emotional state you are determines what you do. So it's not as if you don't know what to do, but you don't have energy to do it. So can we go to the root? The root is the exhaustion. The root is the frustration. So they tell you that when you meet him, be kind. Don't say anything bad. This and this. Don't think of the past. As soon as it starts, everything you start doing auto. The reason why is that anger has a pattern. Frustration has a pattern. Joy has a pattern. Merriment has a pattern. When I want to get angry, I know. It's my walking. Yeah. The thing is that before I get there, I can know my pattern and I can interrupt it. It's not a magic formula. The question is that how will you train yourself to start seeing joy and not frustration? Because to be honest with you, some of you, there's nothing wrong with relationship. It's the fact that you see through frustration that is destroying it. Your relationship is just life. It could be just expectations. Some of you just expect your husband, your wife, your boyfriend or girlfriend to be somebody else. You just expect them to be somebody else. Some of you want to change them. Some of you want them to be somebody else. Some of you want to change them. The concept about changing someone is this: nobody can change somebody else. Everybody must change himself. So once you make changes on your focus, you'll be frustrated. What is the opposite of frustration? Strength and courage. What is courage? It didn't go well. We'll do it again. We would work on it again. One of the big reasons why we have the highest rates of divorce in our country and the world is that people give up on love too easily. I mean, the divorce was terrible, but there was a time it was fantastic. There was a time that you guys did crazy things together. Gosh, crazy. When you were married, what you did sexually, it was out of this world. Now, the way you talk about it, like, hey, I regret me. But you don't regret everything. There were parts you regret. Why do you turn the whole thing as frustration? Because human nature, we allow the negative experience dominate the positive experience. Many of you don't remember how many times you passed. You remember how many times you failed. All the courses you passed, you don't remember. The ones you had carried over, you remember. I'm just telling you how human experience is. When you see your relationship as God is punishing me, when you see your marriage as God is punishing me, when you see your husband as God is punishing me, and my husband is training me, God is training me, your response is very different. Because when you see it as a training, you are so positive, like, oh wow, oh wow, oh wow. When you see it as a punishment, you feel so fearful. God told Joshua, for you to get the promise, you need two qualifications. You must be strong and courageous. What does that mean? You will never enter the promise if you are frustrated. You know what I'm saying? So this is the reason why people have marital delay, because they are not strong and courageous. Every small problem with marriage, I will divorce you. Every small problem in relationship, I will not love again. He said, for you to enter, be strong. This was God telling Joshua, you want to enter the promised land? He said, be strong. You will see things that will make you weak. In marriage, you will see what will make you weak. Men will show you pepper. He said, be strong. Women will show you fire. He said, be strong. And what happens to you is that once you have those terrible experiences, two things you lose. You lose strength, you lose courage. Frustration is the tool for Satan to take you out of the receiving zone. When you feel frustrated, tell yourself, I'm under attack. When you feel frustrated maritally, you will see frustration, you will experience frustration, and you will attract what? Frustration. You will attract men that are frustrated. If you are married, you will bring frustration out of your wife. You will bring frustration out of your husband. But because that's the way you are. How do you know you're frustrated? You're uninterested. You know the thing about being frustrated and uninterested? You'll be interested when it's too late. You'll be interested though, but it'll be too late. Then when you're uninterested, do you know you send the signal to everybody around you? I'm uninterested. Because your lack of interest will sabotage your success. Every frustration has a belief that supports it. That's what I'm going to. Every frustration has what? A belief that supports it. One belief: my husband is selfish. My wife is annoying. Men are scam. Big women are not fine. I'm saying so because behind every frustration is a belief. So if you're going to change your frustration, this is your assignment this week. What is the belief that is fueling my frustrations?